Shaun King.
Thank you all. I'm very honored to be here with each and every one of you. I want to take a moment out to thank so many of you for your support. There have been a few times over the past year where I thought some folk were going to take me out on more than one occasion, and it's always been your support that's kept me encouraged and motivated, and so thank you so much for that. My family is grateful as well. Thank you to National Nurses United. How cool is it that nurses put this together, and it's powerful to me when I took time to actually think about this is their money that they use, their hard-earned dollars that they use to help underwrite this alongside so many other sponsors, and so I'm grateful for that and grateful to be on the panel. There are a few things that I wanted to say, and I'm also excited to take your questions. And I say this all the time, but it's true. My email address is in my Twitter bio. And so if you have some questions that we can't get to today, feel free to reach out to me. But that's something I say in a lot of my writings, and my background is actually in history. I'm actually in grad school now, pursuing a PhD in history, and my undergraduate degree is in African American Studies and history. It's hard to understand a historic moment when you're in it. I say it like this, if I'm speaking to a Christian audience, I joke that Jesus' last name was not Christ. Right? Like we think of him now as like Jesus, first name Jesus, last name Christ. But I don't even know if they did last names or whether history kind of imposed that on him, right? That he wasn't even really he really wasn't even that popular. That when Dr. King and others were leading the Montgomery bus boycott, they did not call it the Civil Rights Movement. That was not even the name. They did not know that it was going to be called that at the time. And as I thought about what we're doing here at the People's Summit, when it was a brilliant idea months ago, I don't even know when the first idea for this was conceived. It was a brilliant idea to plan it, but I want to tell you that it really is historic. And for any of you who have voted in presidential elections before, normally, particularly if your candidate loses, they fold up, pack their bags, and disappear, and you really, and whatever you built, the hundreds of millions of dollars that were spent, it's just gone. And I remember I volunteered for Al Gore's campaign in 2000, and it was so hard fought there in Florida at the very end, but when it was declared that he lost, he became a ghost. And I get it. It was hard, right? I mean, it probably literally knocked the life out of him losing the way that he lost. There was no People's Summit. There was no what's next. He just disappeared. John Kerry did the exact same thing in 2004. I'm not even critiquing Gore and Kerry as much as that's just what people do. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these campaigns. Millions of us are activated behind a candidate. And then when President Obama campaigned in 2008 and 2012, although he won both of those elections, in effect, he actually did the same thing that Gore and Kerry also did, was he activated tens of millions of people, and particularly in 2008, the country was on fire for change, but he did do what every president does that wins. He just went into office, and he did not activate. And I don't even have a full answer for what activating those voters means. But we decided together that no matter what would happen with Bernie's campaign, and I love Bernie, and I can't say it enough. I trust him, I admire him, and he's a hero. And it's never, it sounds like a diss. Like I hear people say, this is bigger than Bernie. And it sounds like a diss, but that is so not a diss. He says that. Those are his words. I mean, Erica Garner, the daughter of Eric Garner, said it best. Bernie's an activist. He is an activist in politics. Like Rosario Dawson is an activist in entertainment. She's not an entertainer who's in activism. And so it's not a diss to say that it's bigger than Bernie, but it's important to say that never before, after a victory or a loss, have people said, I'm not finished. We're not finished. And a lot of people, they don't understand it. They don't get it. People misunderstand us as being obsessed with Bernie, not understanding. Like I am mildly obsessed with Bernie, right? but Bernie was obsessed with the issues, and we are obsessed with the issues. And part of the reason why this is so different, like it wasn't that difficult for Hillary supporters to port over to President Obama in 2008, because the issues were not that different. They made an upgrade, right? But I mean, it was an upgrade. At the time, President Obama was the most electrifying human being on planet Earth for a period of several months. It's all the planet could talk about. All of a sudden, deciding if you were Hillary supporters to be a part of his campaign was not a hard sell. But the contrast between Bernie and Hillary are very significant. And so, the people who formed the People's Summit knew that months ago, that there would be a period after all the primaries but before the convention where we would need to get together. And I want to say all of that as a preface to what I want to say is that social media is media. Like, I'm so glad that we didn't call it like social hangout or social something else. It's called social media. And it drove this campaign. It allowed, Lee talked about adversarial journalism, and that's what I do as well. It allowed those of us who said, hold on, you're wrong, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong, and let me give you the evidence that you're wrong. It allowed us to say, I know this will never be on the nightly news, so I'm going to post it right here on my Facebook page. There were times where, and I want to thank the New York Daily News for hiring me, and for Jim Rich, my boss. He's the new editor-in-chief of the New York Daily News, and he recruited me, and we started New York Daily News together. His first day as editor-in-chief was one of my first days as a senior justice writer, and so I feel like an independent journalist, but I write for the New York Daily News. They have no filter on what I say or what I write, and they edit for errors and stuff like that, but no one dictates to me what I say and what I don't say. But let me tell you why that is. I'm really only allowed to do that because I already built my own audience. Already had it. For the 9 months that I've been at New York Daily News, almost every month, I don't say this to brag, not at all, but I say it to make a point. My articles in the New York Daily News have consistently been the most viewed articles on the platform every week and every month. I say that to say that's because I built an audience before I got there. Jim was smart enough to know that. My team was smart enough to know that. I say that to say you need to build your audience. And I'm convinced that if Bernie ran 4 years from now, or if the election happened to be a year from now, and we knew some of the things that we know now, I'm so convinced that we could we could crush it all over the country. Listen, I have 5 kids. My kids don't even know that nightly news exists. No, no. They just, it's not because I'm like a great parent. I'm saying it, kids don't even know that at 6 and 6:30 and 7 that there are old people who tell you what's going on in the world. They don't even know. My kids have no idea. Like I can't even tell you the last time I watched the nightly news. Like we said, I log into Facebook and I have customized my feed with voices that I trust, including campaigns and figures and others that I trust. And that's where I get my news. And I trust it. I watch videos on Facebook and Twitter. I go to YouTube and watch it. I'm subscribed to certain email lists. And my children, and this is dangerous, like my teenage daughters get their news from like Snapchat and Instagram. Like here we are being judgy that they get their news from Snapchat and Instagram when we get ours from Twitter and Facebook, right? Like how dare those kids get their news from Snapchat and Instagram? Literally, that's if it's not said there, they don't know it, and they trust that. I said that to say that we have an incredible amount of power, and the mainstream media did this campaign no favors whatsoever. I'll close on this. I am. They may have even been talking about me. I don't know, but I am definitely one of those guys who shares things that I am pretty sure this is true. I just want to get it out there. Like, I have tried for days to confirm these hacked documents from the DNC. And Jordan from Young Turks is here. He and I both. Jordan and I both. Someone did hack the DNC. Okay, they admitted that. And the DNC did admit that whoever hacked them stole opposition documents on Donald Trump. They admitted that. And it could actually be the Russian government. It could be that. Some really smart people think it is. I don't know. But in those documents, it said some really troubling stuff about the media. The documents were from 2015. Bernie was already in the race. And the documents talk about, hey, let's plant stories in the mainstream media. And it uses this phrase, but let's not show our fingerprints. Yeah, then there's another phrase that said, let's muddy the waters about the ethics and integrity and responsibility of Hillary Clinton. It says, let's muddy the waters using the media. And when I saw it, it confirmed in a lot of ways my worst suspicions, because it did, for the past year, it has felt like the media was being fed stories by Hillary Clinton's campaign, and they just parroted talking points from her campaign. Now we see a document from May of 2015, before the first, I believe that's before the first primary. Bernie had already announced his intent to run, and they speak of her as the presumptive nominee. I was baffled, and Congresswoman Gabbard is here now, and I remember when she stepped down from the DNC, I was like, whoa, do you remember that? Now I see these memos, and I realize that they have made it difficult to be a woman of integrity inside of this structure that they built. And so Jordan and I, almost by ourselves for several days, basically just begged the DNC, can you confirm if these are real or not? And I mean, I'm just, you can quote me on this, I'm concluding that their non-denial is if it was not theirs, why not deny it? And so we end up having to use Twitter and Facebook, blogs, Medium, WordPress to get stuff out there because now it appears more than I ever even understood that the mainstream media is fully complicit. And people hate it when we use the word rigged. And you choose a synonym, right? We don't have to say rigged. It doesn't have to be rigged, right? But prearranged, right? Predetermined, right? And so, why will the mainstream media not even respond? I mean, I'm begging. Jordan and I even started tagging spokespersons and media outlets. I even direct message every person in the media and say, "Are you going to cover this?" And my conclusion was, I think Jordan's conclusion, no, they're not going to cover it because it's about them. They are the people that are being talked about in that memo. And so, right, we're biased. Right, we're the biased ones. And a lot of us, it was after a conversation with Senator Anita Turner. I was actually interviewing her for an article that I was writing. And she's so persuasive. I was gonna keep my support of. I was gonna do what I thought journalists were supposed to do, and keep my support of Bernie on the low. Right? When I talked to her, she was so persuasive that like 4 days later, I was like, I just can't keep a secret. I have to tell it. I have to tell it all. But then I got to the point where I believe, and I hope this is not self-righteous, but I believe there is integrity in just letting people know, here's what I believe, here's what I think, versus pretending like Chris Matthews has, right? No, I mean, he has family that has a lot that is deeply connected to the Clinton campaign, right? His family has a lifelong relationship, and that's fine. That is perfectly fine. But it's not fine to pretend like that doesn't exist, then pretend like you're reporting completely unbiased news. That's why I love the Young Turks and other independent media outlets who just, where they stand. And so you still have to your facts still have to be accurate. You have to be fair, but at least people understand I am reading this from someone who believes A, B, and C. Whereas now we understand, if you haven't seen those documents, I've shared them, and Jordan has shared them, and I hope The Intercept and others will do a deep dive on them because they're very troubling. And it has caused me to wonder how we even move forward with the Democratic Party. Like, I say that as a lifelong Democrat. Like, I'm generations. My grandmother was a lifelong Democrat. My mother made light bulbs at Sylvania Light Bulb Factory for 45 years. Lifelong Democrat. And I come from that. But it has gotten to the point where the evidence is overwhelming that the issues that we care about and the people that we care about are not valued by the party, and that Bernie was not given. The DNC is supposed to be a fair and unbalanced entity, and that just did not happen. And so I'll close there, but it was historically some of the stuff that went down was historically unethical. And it's hard to see it because right now it stings, right? It's steam, right? We don't know. But no, they won't. I'll close with this, but President Obama, I do not believe, would have made such a strong endorsement if there was, you know, I doubt there's an indictment. Like, and here's this: even if she was indicted, the Democratic Party, they're going to stick with her. No, they would just say this indictment is a sham, it's a phony. We're going to fight it. So don't hold out on an indictment being your saving grace, is what I'm trying to say. Right? Don't hold out on that being the solution. We're here to game plan for other solutions. Thank you.
Woo! Fucking Shaun King, man.
Jen Nix is a journalist and an activist with Roots Action. She's going to